Welcome to the Mortgage Update with Dan Frio. For over 10 years, Dan has been helping AM 1160 listeners. With so many companies to choose from and hundreds of loan options, the mortgage process can be confusing and costly. Be sure to listen each day for Dan and learn the difference between FHA, VA, and conventional loans. You'll also learn how to negotiate lower interest rates and fees, as well as steps to buying your first home and whether refinancing makes sense. Stay tuned to find out why Chicago's top realtors are choosing Dan Frio.
Hello, and welcome to the Mortgage Update with Dan Frio. And if you want to find out more about me, you hear me every day on AM 1160. You can reach or check out my website at 1160mortgage.com. The best, probably the best way to find me on everything else is to just Google me, Dan, D-A-N, Frio, F-R-I-O. I have YouTubes, I have credit repair systems or websites to just basically help walk you through that stuff. And if you want to reach me at my office, call 630-338-1160. So today we have a guest. It's a friend of mine, Angie Stockton. She's a realtor out in the suburbs. And welcome, Angie.
Hi, Dan.
This is her brainchild today. And it's you have great points here. The Millenials.
Yes.
That's a whole piece of the puzzle that if you're not a realtor or a lender, you're missing.
I guess.
There's tons of them.
I'm excited to talk about millennials because we both have them in our homes, and they are they're all over the place, but they're so much fun to talk about. Yeah. I'm not even sure if it's appropriate to call them millennials anymore. We'll have to ask them because I'm not sure. But I think everybody knows the generation we're talking about.
Yeah. So I have one as well. I think my son is kind of the same age as your son.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
And I'll give you a little feedback on my son. He's 26 years old, and he's out of college. Thank God we were blessed that he didn't have to. He'd come out of school with very, very, very minimal student loans.
Yes.
What I see, and this is going to roll into what Angie wants to talk about. She wants to talk about wealth management. I don't want to say wealth management. How to build kind of wealth or portfolio. Our age group, we're not millennials.
No, unfortunately.
We have millennials. So that kind of puts you in the time frame on the age that we are. The goal was to buy a house, and it wasn't just your home.
Right.
It was an investment.
It was.
It was a big investment.
Yes.
The biggest thing I say, I'm going to go off on a tangent right now, just for a minute.
Go for it.
The next bubble we're going to see is student loan debt.
Absolutely.
It is crazy. Most of the clients that I have, it goes down. I even have grandparents that co-signed for their kids because there was so much student loan debt. The students no longer could get any. Well, they would get pieces of it, but not enough to finance it. Then the parents were inundated with. It went down to the grandparents. I was just telling you right before we went on air, I have a client, well, no names or anything, but this person had over $250,000 in student loan debt. Yeah. And it wasn't a doctor or I'll just say it wasn't they're not a doctor.
Yeah. Not making a ton of money.
Yeah. They'll probably do well. Yeah. But that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money to come out of debt. And then in Chicagoland area, your average rents are probably, I see, $1,200, $1,800.
Definitely every bit that, yes.
How do you save? Between your student loan payment, even if it's income-based, say, then they probably had to get a car, and then you have your rent. If you're making $50,000 out of college, $60,000, God bless you. Yeah. There's nothing left. Right. We'll talk about down payment assistance programs. Give me what's your scenario that you're seeing with the millennials?
Well, I think that I have to agree with you as far as home ownership being one of the primary factors in gaining the financial security. And since they aren't able to buy homes as early as you and I were, that's delaying that financial security for them just for years until they're able to purchase that. So my thinking, it's kind of a vicious cycle, and I'll admit that, but my thinking is they're working so hard to keep up with their student loans and just to, when you get your first job out of college, you're working a lot. Therefore, they're looking for homes that are basically move-in ready. I get that because they don't have a lot of time and a lot of extra money to be able to put into a fixer-upper. If they could just back off from some of those things that they really think they have to have and just settle for something just a little bit less than what they'd like, I think that would help them be able to purchase a first home, stay in it a few years, get it into the condition where they can sell it, and then turn around and sell and move up. Because my son, who's 23 years old, as you know, he's looking for a home, his first home. He's doing very well, like your son, financially. And he asked me, honestly, last week, just asked me this. He said, Mom, how is it that I'm able to make this amount of money and only able to afford this home when I know so-and-so is making less money than me and lives in a home twice as much as what I can afford? I said, the difference, honey, is that person has already purchased 1 or 2 homes and has turned around and used the equity from those homes to move forward. So if we could just get the millennials into a home, a starter home, let them keep it for a few years, I think that would be a huge improvement in their financial picture.
Especially in today's market. Because I was just talking about my house right before we went on, and I bought it 16 years ago. Those of us who bought, even I have neighbors that bought at the peak. I mean, they're probably 100, 200,000 below. They owe more on their home than it's worth. And that's the tough thing. So we came out of that bottom. You know, if you would have bought 6, 7, 8, 9 years ago, you were at the bottom. Now we're finally seeing appreciation in the homes. So not only, there's still tax breaks with things, the write-offs of the taxes, the interest, this, it's the pride of ownership. In my dealings with people who call in, clients calling in to look at buy homes, there's a huge disparity. Some, and I have 3 kids, and they're all 20 plus. Some of their very minimal amount of their friends own homes. A lot of them still live at home, and they're doing well. I don't know if it's fear, lack of money, lack of savings. The kids, the millennials, I won't say kids, the millennials I know, most of them have jobs. I know their families, so that most of them don't have the student debt that many millions of kids are burdened with. I don't know. I just maybe in my group, they see, because I do this for a living, they saw the crash. And maybe that, it's like my parents with the Great Depression. They lived through the Great Depression. My dad, he's 89 years old. He has still never owned one share of stock because he's like, it's too risky.
Yeah. The other thing that they're seeing, they see the interest rates going up. And to them, this generation that just came into the housing market when the interest rates were unbelievably low. I never thought I'd see an interest rate below 4%. Never, ever. And so these kids or young people are seeing these interest rates go up. So they feel like 5%. Oh, my goodness. And it just terrifies them. Yet you and I both know when I bought my first house in the 80s, I literally had to buy down my interest rate so that my first year was at 8%, my second year was at 9%, and my third year was at 10%, and that cost me $2,000 to do. So
I got in this in 89. Rates were in the mid-teens. Adjustable.
Yes, that's frightening. A lot of people got into trouble with that.
I was talking with somebody just the other day, and they asked me about rates, because I said the rate was, now is, we've peaked 5. And, I said, and they said, I thought they were still in the low 4s. I said, the lowest, I remember I did one loan at 3.25 on a 30-year fix. That's crazy. So now when you talk, 5, every day I'm on with Mark Elfstrom. It's 5:20. So if you listen in the 1160, you'll hear me live, and I have some YouTube channels or YouTube videos. I did an analysis of this going from 4.5 to 5.5 in an interest rate. It's amazing how it's not as devastating as you think. Everybody has that set thing in their mind. Well, the rate's 4. On a $100,000 loan, the rate between 4 and 5, your difference in your payment isn't. I mean, you're going to Starbucks every day and paying $5 for a coffee. That mortgage payment is less than you just skipping basically a week of Starbucks coffees. So what's lifestyle. More important? So it's not as dramatic as you think. Because first thing I thought is business is really going to taper off. But again, you have rents at $1,800. You can get somebody into a house for $1,400. It's their home.
Exactly.
So okay. So let's go move on to let's wait till the next segment. Let's finish with this. The next segment, let's talk about technology. And some of it scares me to death. The millennials, most of them don't care. But they should care. So, we all offer, Angie and myself, you can go online and do as much as you want. But we'll discuss that in the next segment. So what else, anything else you want to cover in this segment about the millennials, how much money? Oh, down payments. Mm-hmm. Do any of them that you see have
large?
You see a lot of them before I do. Mm-hmm. Do they have money?
Some do. Most do not. And most are not aware of what's available out there. So, yes, some do. But in all honesty, I think most of them really are struggling with those student loan payments, so they have very little to come to the table with.
And we can discuss in another show down payment assistance programs. There's a lot out there. Most of the ones that the realtors know of, I'm sure you do, is IDA. Mm-hmm. Many realtors, that's all they know of. Mm-hmm. I offer about 5 or 6 variations of different ones. Yep. IDA is a great fit for some people. I don't offer IDA. Mm-hmm. IDA is a great fit for some loan values. It's not a great. There's more bang for your buck in a lot of other areas. Right. So we'll check that out. If you want to go to my website, it's 1160mortgage.com. Under the purchase section, just click down, and there's multiple links there to down payment assistance programs. There's videos. There's a whole bunch of things. I try to. Even my son was saying the other night. He said, "Dad, it's pretty." And this was a compliment from him, and I don't get a lot from him. He said, "You made it really simple for people to understand this." So that's kind of cool. So coming from him, that was awesome.
And if I can just add, because I've been working with you, that is one of the things I love about it. And this is just a freebie for you from me as a realtor. I love the fact that you have so many different programs that most people have never heard of before that help them with the down payment.
It's hard for me to get those out there because I don't have the millions and millions and millions of dollars to spend on marketing. Yeah. That a lot of these companies have. There are a ton of good programs out there. So I want to thank you for the first half of this, staying with us. Please come back. We're going to start talking about the technology piece of mortgages. So stay tuned. We'll be back in 2 minutes.